So this is my Dimplex Brockenhurst BRK20 2 kilowatt electric radiant fire, and we're going to be replacing the heating element in this. So join me as I take you through it and show you what we do. You've been watching Florence Ballard A3060 on film. Okay, so winter is going to soon be upon us, and that means fans and cooling systems away, and bring out the heaters. Now this, as you know, I've owned since 2020, and it's one of the last 2 kilowatt versions of these you'll find, because nowadays these only go up to about 1600 watt. So this is 2 bar, and they are, as you can see, they're quartz elements. However, one of these, and I believe it's the bottom one, has stopped working, so it only now uses 1 kilowatt. I've brought a new quartz element tube for it, and I'm going to be replacing it. I thought I'd make a video of this because next week we're going to be getting some very low temperatures, like in the single digits, so it might be time for this to come out. Though I only ever use 1 kilowatt anyway, so it's cheaper to run that way, but it's good to have both elements going. I'm sorry if you're getting out in the background, just to put the tumble dryer on with some clothes in there. A bit dusty is this one, as you can see, so I'm going to give the top a bit of dust, and then yes, I'll dismantle that and we'll get fitting that. So, got the element here. You might notice I've got some gloves here as well. That's because we're going to be handling quartz glass, and it's always best not to touch that with your bare hands. So, let's remove. Basically, we've got to take apart the side panel on it as well. So this is the rear of it. Normally, you'll have this on the back, that decorative panel. You might see something in there. That's the they're the reflectors. Which also I might need to remove those and sort of twist them about a bit. So these can stay on. They're what normally hold the headboard on. And I will say, never ever do this with it plugged in. It won't undo. I just use one of the flatheads, because these screws have probably never been undone. A dryer will be finished soon, so keep them neatly around, ready for reassembly. Oh good, at least they're magnetic screws as well. Tell they've never been undone before. So these are normally just held in, yeah, just the big screws here are what hold it on. I'm also going to remove the guard here as well. Yeah, that'll need a clean, that will, eventually. I'll give it a dust. I haven't got much room to work in as well. I tend not to dust all that because it burns it all off anyway, but I will just give it a dust. I'm also going to plug it in and just check which one it is that's at fault. So you've got the lights in the rear. I feel any heat come off it, and I know which one it is. Yeah, it's definitely that one. So I'm getting heat there. That's probably going to smell like burning as well. Okay, so it's the bottom one. I'll leave that for about a minute to cool. You know which one it is, it's the bottom one. Oof, blimey. You can tell these screws have never been undone. So a bit of a nightmare to remove. So that should allow that whole bit to come off there. There's probably some screws from underneath as well. And then the same on this side too. Dryer will be finished very shortly as well. So keep them into categories because they do look to be the same screws. So as you can see now, it does separate it, but I've still got screws that need to be removed from the bottom. And I think that's just where that's screwed onto, which is fine. Got to say though, the build quality on this is a lot better than some of the standard cheap heaters you get, where you take them apart and they practically just collapse. I can tell this is falling apart. There they are. That's one end off. Now onto the other end. Alright, so now with the screws here, I'm going to keep them all there. That side can also come off too. There you are. That side's not connected to anything, but that's where you got the terminals at either end. So this side has the cables because it connects to the switches. So we know it's the bottom one here, because a lot of heaters are built to cheap build quality. That's why you can buy them at such cheap prices. I paid 60 for this, I think I did, or 75. I can't remember what I paid for it. It's quite a bit, but these would have been quite expensive in stores. So what I've got to do is, in my minimal space that I've got here, try and find a. Here's the wires we've got to remove. So I'll just leave them hanging slightly. Pull off that spade connector. There you go, that's off. We don't need to take any photos because it's only one simple cable removed. Now, this is where there's some. Right, so we've got some little holders here. I believe that's to stop it slipping out. Let's see how we connect on the other side. Right. So we've got, I think, positive and neutral on the other. We've got on this side. Let me show you as well. We have got some. We've got connectors here as well. So again, bottom one. I'm amazed at how that one's going to be a bit harder to come off, isn't it? That one. God, eventually. Bloody hell. So that's the element disconnected. Now then, I have to try and get this off. Let me use my bare hands for this one. You never think there'd be so much dismantling to do with one of these, but at least I'm more assured it's because this has been in storage for a bit. That's why it's a bit dusty. So I will give everything else a dust, and I will dust a little bit along here. But I'm one of those weird people that do like the smell that these give off when you first switch them on, that burning smell. As long as it's just not extreme, because when I first just switched this on now, oh god, it smelled really bad. So I've got gloves on, as you see, just so if I touch this, obviously this is fine to touch because it's going to be thrown out, but the other one I've got to be careful, the new one. Now, there seems to be some connectors on here which I think are holding it in place or something. So let me just have a look. Can I remove those somehow? Yeah, there's little like connectors going around the block. It's like a restraint. I suppose it's to stop the elements from ever coming out. Yeah, there we go. So they're like little little hair clips, and they just go around it. That means I can slide. So it's on a spring as well. This is. Okay, I see. Release the spring. It's just like a. I don't know if it's like a washing machine carbon brush. Like the sort of springs that hold the. So you can probably see them again on this side. Just that little wire there. So what you need to do, basically prise it away from. Oh, that went flying. Keep that there. So now it's all about sliding this out. It has got a spring to it. Because I was thinking, I've got it. Squeeze it in at both ends, maybe. Might take a bit of fiddling to get it out. I'm not really got to be that's why I prefer doing these with gloves on. There's more of a way to get this out, but I've got to also be careful I don't shatter the glass. What phone have I got? I wonder if I can rotate it and get the plastic bit out. The thing is, I don't want to like push this out and then the whole like glass shatters, so it's a difficult one. There we are. That's now got slight. There we go. That's the element out. Let's have a look at this. So, as you all know with heating elements, they're like long nichrome wire or whatever. That's your element inside. So it goes inside, that's what produces all that heat. So effectively, this is all we're going to have is a new one of these. Okay, so I'm going to put the dud one on the bed so we know it's out of the way. Right, now for the new one. I've got to open the new one. Got this from Amazon. It was actually meant to arrive today, so it arrived. Nice. A bit more earlier than expected, as do a lot of things. In fact, I was quite surprised you could still get these. Because as I said, the 2 kilowatt versions aren't often Well, no, we did find a 3-bar version. That was, I think, 2100 watt or something. It was. But like, oh wow, that's wrapped really nicely. That is. So we do have to be careful when opening this because it is fragile. I'd like to preserve the bubble wrap, but probably can't. We've got enough of that anyway downstairs. It says fragile on it, and then you got, wow, comes in a little tube. So you've got Dimplex, Yeo Minster, infrared silica element, but it also is for this one too. They all take the same type elements, just certainly different designs for the body. Right. Push product from tube. Element, yeah, quality at the right price. So what end can we open it at? I'd hear that. I'm just going to take my time with this, no rushing, because of course I don't want to break it. Push it. It's a nice little. There you go. Nice brand new one. Right. So, be very careful with this. Oh, it's got a nice new smell to it, that has. You can see, love to see the element inside there. All we've got to do is just push it back into this. Be very, very careful in doing this, because you don't want anything to go wrong at this point. I always say the sooner you can get it on the better, but don't rush. There we go, in place. You can actually see the difference between how clean that one is compared to that one. So that one will probably go at some point. Again, same procedure. All that's left now is to put the restrainer wire back on, put the wires together, bundle the whole thing together and give it a test. You might hear a humming in the background. I've got my air purifier going because there's a lot of dust in here. As much as I like the smell of dusty heaters, not a very good idea to allow dust around. So I'm going to put one clip on this side. All that does, it just stops it from, I think we can take the gloves off now, as long as we just don't touch the quartz element, so they can come off. They got ripped in the process. I don't really have much room to work here as well, as you see I haven't got a workshop. I'll make do with what I can here. So here we go, that's got to go on. You should be able to just push it on with your bare hands really, but for the sake of this I will just use the assistance of a screwdriver. Hands are shaking trying to put it on. I know. Nope. There we not are. That's got to clip into that bit, and so has that bit. Got to go into there. See all the dust there that needs to be cleaned out. So all these areas never get dusted. It's going to be a bit harder to put on, isn't it? Because they are tensioned, of course. Okay, well, that's that one on. Down to the switch bank side, that's got to come under here. It's funny how it's just easier to push it on with your hands really than it is with anything to do anything else. Might need a bit of, but someone's needs a bit of a nudge anyway. It's also about how you can get just over time they deteriorate, and I think obviously it's, you know, we don't know how long in service this has been in use, etc. You know what I mean? So there you go. Look how easy that went on. That's a lot more securely in place now. It does seem a bit looser. Oh no, they are all loose. And of course, make sure we connect this back up too. Sorry guys, didn't mean to do that. There you go, and that's the switches now connected. Now just to give everything a bit of a dust, using a dry, completely dry microfiber cloth. You don't want to introduce any moisture into this because there's a lot of exposed electrical connections there. Just going over bits where, like I say, if it's dust on the elements, you can just let that burn off. But as long as it's not extreme, that's the point. Because in British Harfonation, I got a lot of these. Right, if you look back from my playlist, you'll see it. And I had ones like belling ones, convector heaters that basically started smoking because they had so much dust on them. And that's what you don't want. Also, it becomes very unpleasant when you smell all that, because there's a point where it's a nice, you know, sort of vintage smell, and there's a point where it becomes quite horrible. It's going to go all around in here as well, because these are bits that you never ever see really on this. Obviously this is all helps prolong the life of it, and also for someone like me it's good because dust allergies. And then on the other side as well, let's see inside here, yeah, there's a lot of dust in there. That looks like it's been sprayed in there at some point though as well. Oh, that's what it is. There's not really much dust in there. I'm just going to go around again where the wire terminals are. As you can see, there's large amounts of dust in here. It's that sort of stuff that would probably cause a fire at some point. So, you know, these get very, very hot when they're on. Not like today's heaters, which a lot of them are only about 1,000 watt or so. I'm not saying they're all like that, but there are, you know, like convector heaters are a bit more open. These have got more enclosed space. It's just quite awkward angles to get to because there's like sharp screws around all that. And we get around the terminals as well. Get all that crud off. Even the cables themselves. It's right if it goes on the floor in the vacuum up anyway. Okay. And what I do is just around the log fire feature. It's good with the appliance pointed downwards because it'll all just go on the floor rather than on the elements. And I'll just go, see, remember I'm not touching that element with my bare hands. But all that will burn off eventually. I just go over points where it might not hit. A bit of a blow. Right. She's ready to go back into assembly. So I've categorised the 4 screws here are for underneath. These ones are for the back, and then the last 4 for attaching this bit as well. So let's get to work. At least with this, the appliance be able to stand up properly. It's quite interesting though doing this, because it's like you never really think that there's so much to how these are put together. I just got to find the most uniform way for it to go. There we go. It's just two screws underneath. I'm sorry, can you guys see that? Yeah. I like I'm asking you all, can you see it? It's like I know you won't be able to respond to me. So what I'll do is I'll tighten the top one first, because then I know it's held together by that. Got it. Once you feel the grip, then you know it's there. Do it up as tight as possible, but don't over tighten it, of course. Never a good idea to over tighten screws, be it if it's going into metal or plastic. That's it. That's fine. The rest will do those. Main thing is get everything attached to the frame of it. Again, same thing. Got to be careful not to touch that element. Same reason why they say for you not to touch halogen bulbs as well. It's the same sort of process. Once you find a way to get it on, then everything's all hunky-dory after that, isn't it? There we go. Just got to try and push that back in at the rear. We got there in the end after a bit of a fight. Good thing is I like the fact these screws are magnetic. There we go. Right, that's that bit on. Now just to do the inner bits here. So you've got three. I might have knocked a screw somewhere. That always happens. Right, we'll do up these ones here, and that just sort of pulls everything together, really. And that's got to come onto there, and that's got to move there. God, there's another screw here. There we are, got them all. And all this does, it just pulls the frame together, really. And I'll do the other side as well. I'll do them equally so it pulls together nicely. And that bit at the back that'll lock in place when we do the screws at the back. It can be a bit off-putting seeing all the screws you've got to undo, but once you start doing it, really, it just all happens, really, and it's more simpler. So it's these spots where I'm putting the screws in, which is where all the dust gets in, and that's why we have to clean all that. Be very careful of this, that you don't hit the quartz element. I mean, if people learn something from my videos, then, you know, fair play. But I don't do it for educational, because I don't feel like I am a big help to people. As I said, I'm learning on the job. You know, obviously, not obviously doing it for a job, but I learn as I'm doing it. And that's that. Alright, that's that bit done. Just got some bits of dust here. Hello. That looks like a bit of discolouring there, actually, or something. Not sure what that is. Okay, now all that's left to do is just put the back ones in, and this kind of just pulls everything together. There we go. It's not something I recommend you do, but as long as you put the screw, if you put the screw in a bit of an angle and then screw it, it pulls everything together. A lot of time it won't like that being done to it though. Whew, quite sweating now. Ah, there we go, it's pulling it together now. Try and get a better angle. We eventually got it back together. Now I've just got to remove this top bit where the flame feature is. I'll give that a bit of dust as well. We've got two Fire Glow halogen, no, they're incandescent bulbs in there. This gathers a lot of dust. However, propellers come off. So this is what it is. It's called a deflector. And it just pivot. There's a little pivot point that they hang on, and all they do is they just spin with the heat or convection currents of the lights, of the bulbs, right? And they just simulate flames. So they sit on a little like, needle here. Oftentimes you've got to lift this up to get it on. See, just sits there and spins. Bearing in mind, you can't buy incandescent bulbs now, but you can only buy special ones. Without these, you don't get the flicker. That goes back on. That should work. That one too. And what I might as well do, might as well put the headboard on the back of this. I can't wait till it gets cold enough to start using this though, because I love having this on. It makes my room feel very warm and cosy. Has that gone in properly, or are we having a similar crisis? Alright, with that on now, I've just got to put the headboard on the back, maybe what we do for that is just, I've left the screws in place, because I took it off when I put this in storage, to make it easier to store. Thing is, you clean it up, but as you go along, it collects dust anyway. And these all got the little washers on them. So obviously this again needs a dust too. This is the main culprit that captures all the dust because it just sits at the back of it. It's a nice design to it though. Right, so holds up like that, and there's the model of it, you see. BRK20. Tells you everything. You just got to match it up with these holes basically. I've got another one in there, haven't I? That's it. I know I'm not perfect with doing this, so, you know, I don't claim to be an expert, but as I said, if it means I can just get familiar with how to do all this, then so be it. There's our first one in. Oh, partially. Sometimes it's a better idea to lean this forward when doing this. I don't like to. Some of the other ones come with a smaller sort of backboard to them. And that's it. Once one is on, I'll get a bottom one put on. I'm just hoping that those, if the deflectors come off, they come off. So comment below, as I say, if you have one of these, or if you remember, say maybe your grandparents having one, because that's how I tell people it's often what they'll have. As I said, it's often meant for lounges, but I use them here. That's why I only ever need to use the low heat setting, because it produces that much heat. But I have done when I would like roast things on this, like marshmallows. Right. All that remains is to fit the heat guard, and we're ready to give her a test. Plug this in. It's good because I've got to go to work in a bit, so I'll finish this just in time. Right, so the bulbs work fine. Let's just move that back so I don't nuke anything in this room. Because literally this has got so much power to it. Right, ready? I can hear buzzing. Yep, it's coming on. Taking a while, probably because it's new. Oh, hang on, that's the top one. That's the. Let's see if we get heat off this one. Okay. It's heating up. I'm a little scared. Okay. Very good. The other fan's not spinning, but that's the bottom element coming on. You know me, I always assume the worst might happen. What have I done with my phone? Oh, blimey! That ain't half releasing some heat. Now, right, all good. All good. There we go. That's one newly repaired and re-energised Dimplex Brockenhurst BRK20 Electric Radiant Fire. You'll see this come out when it gets cold. It smells quite a bit. I do like that smell though. Hope you enjoyed this. It was a bit of an adventure, but we got there in the end. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to keep it supreme and go with the flow.